Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Ahmad Saleem here from SaleemAcademy.com. Depression is a very interesting mental illness because so many people around the world suffer from it, yet few people talk about it. You know, you tell your friend, I'm suffering from depression, and they'll look at you with that weird look of like, what's wrong with you? But if you tell them, oh, I just found out I have cancer, or I'm super sick, then they'll give you, sympathy, right? Why is that? Another thing about depression is that there's so many popular cultural references about it, you know, from Shakespeare's Hamlet, To Be or Not to Be, or from J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter's The Dementors, sucking the life away. All that is was, you know, a different take and look at depression. Yet, so many references are there, yet people don't talk about solutions of how we can free ourselves from this cage that we put ourselves in at times. So what is depression? Depression usually, let's think of this person named Bob, right? Bob believes that the world should be peaceful, without war, there should be love, and all these other things. Yet when he looks at the world, he sees that none of these things actually exist. That the world, there's a lot of war there, there's a lot of hate there, there's a lot of crime. And so what Bob does, he has two options. One option is Bob goes and he gets sad. He feels that this is completely permanent and he can't do anything about it. So his sadness slowly snowballs, till he himself is in the snowball stuck. And he feels that there's nothing he can do about it, and he's just stuck in that situation and the world is stuck. Now Bob had a second option, which he could have also done, and that is he noticed that the world wasn't the way he saw it in his mind, right? But he slowly, step by step, with small actions, did something about it. So maybe he signed, you know, a petition or some other small thing that he could do to help the world become more peaceful or more loving, as his inner world sees the world, right? So when you are sad and you let that sadness get out of hand, your brain becomes imbalanced to the point where you get to this thing which we call in the psychology world as clinical depression. And clinical depression is just uncontrolled sadness, in a sense, you know, sadness to the point where you can't control it anymore, and it's just automated now. And so what I want to tell you is this feeling of depression, why do we even have it? And is there a positive use of it? Obviously, yes. I mean, sadness and depression, that same feeling, it was created and it was made so that we can get sad when we don't get results the way we want. So for example, if I fight with my sibling or something, right? And I really hurt my sibling's feelings. So later on, I get sad, or I have that tinge of a feeling of depression, and I say, okay, I did something wrong, I'm not going to do it again. So sadness can be an amazing tool to get greater results in life and to make yourself grow. The problem is when you get sad and you let that go out of hand. So I fight with my sibling, right? And then I say, you know, I'm a screw up. I'm evil. You know, I'm like Hitler or something else. And you let that keep going. And then what happens is that you get in a state after those thoughts continue where you start believing those things and you just get stuck. So there is a positive use for depression, believe it or not. And by redirecting your mind and by retraining your mind and by the tips I'm going to share with you just now, you can actually free yourself and redirect your mind and the sadness within it towards positive growth and more happiness. So now let's go into the 7 tips that I have for you to cure or to intervene and to help with your depression. Tip number 1 is rewrite the story. Rewrite the story. And what I mean by this here is usually when an incident happens or an event happens or when a series of events happen in our life, that's when we create the story in our head of how the world works and how we operate in the world, which causes our depression. So I'll give you a few simple examples for this. Let's say a loved one died in our life, right? And what happened, this even happened in my life very recently. My grandmother passed away. And some of my family members are still to this day super depressed because of it. So, okay, my grandmother dies. And what I can do there is, once again, just like Bob, have those two options. I can be sad, right? And then realize, you know, my grandmother passed away. Now she moved to the next life, right? And take that as a lesson. Use that sadness to make myself grow more. So I can prepare for that next life too. So I can, you know, pray for her more. So I can really help her and help myself by this event. Or what I can do is I can get that sadness, maybe have those same thoughts, same feelings, I need to do more, but then let it get out of hand. Say, why did God do this to me? Why is this happening? Why is it always me that bad stuff happens to? Why do people die? I don't want to die. All these different talk and conversations start coming in our heads, and this creates an illusion, this illusionary story within our minds that keeps putting us down. So one thing that I tell people, and you can even try this, if you're suffering from depression, is imagine yourself in a very normal, happy, calm state, right? And maybe that's right now, right? And now I want you to shift your body position. I want you to shift, maybe go a little lower, and make yourself depressed. If you're, let's say, 10 is full depression and 0 is no depression, how much are you from 0 to 10? Let's say you're a 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, right? Now make yourself get to an 8 or 9. Get yourself really depressed, and you can even pause the video and do it. And once you do it now, right, you'll notice to make yourself depressed, you had to bring certain thoughts. You had to bring certain events from your past life maybe, right? Things you were telling yourself to get yourself depressed. And notice your body posture right now. Maybe it's a bit more lower. Maybe your whole head is shifted down. You're completely sad, right? What are those thoughts that you are bringing to your mind to get yourself depressed? Anyone can do it. Even the most happiest person can get himself sad and depressed. And I use the word sad and depressed interchangeably. Telling yourself that you're clinically depressed doesn't help you in trying to battle this condition, right? It's a sadness that's gotten out of control and become a little monster. Now you need to tame it down. But anyhow, those things that you are telling yourself, right? That conversation, those images, those are the things that you need to redirect, replace. And once you do that, right? Maybe you're telling yourself, I'm a failure. I'm nothing, right? I don't deserve to be here. I don't belong here. I'm a fake, And people are expecting so much from you, yet you can't live up to their expectations. Whatever the case is, once you redirect that story, once you get in a situation of like, no, I am worth something. I can do something. I can make a difference. Once you do those simple things, that's when you'll get back in control and you'll change your story. And sometimes this change happens instantaneously. There was a counselor, and he was one-on-one in a group, a big audience. He was counseling this lady with full-out depression. And the lady, in between the conversation, said something like, I'm completely in debt, and I'm ruining my life, and it's as if I have a bag, that I'm carrying around with me everywhere I go. And so then the counselor said, right, so that's her image, that's her story she's saying with her, that's the picture and the world she's living in, right? A world where she's carrying a bag around. So the counselor said, okay, what if you drop that bag down? What if you drop that bag down for a minute? How would you feel? And she started smiling. She said, I would feel free, and I would feel more alive, and all of those things. And he said, okay, what if you took that bag and attached a rocket to it, right? A firework. And then you lit it up and you shot it up. What would happen? How do you feel then? And then she said, I would feel amazing. And then he's like, how do you feel when you walk out? How do you feel in your work? How do you feel in your relationship? All the things and situations she said she was super depressed in. And she said, I would feel great, and this and this and this. Just by changing that one simple image of the bag that she was carrying around, she changed her life around. And a few years later, she completely turned her life around, and financially she became very successful, got an amazing relationship, and started controlling her own life and her destiny. So that's tip number 1, rewriting your story. Tip number 2 is lowering your life expectations. And no, I'm not talking about how long you expect to live. What I'm saying here is you need to lower your expectations of the world around you, of people around you. You probably think the world is ideal. Maybe you're depressed because of a breakup that you recently went through, right? And you expected the relationship to last forever. Well, that's not the case, right? So what you have to do, or what you must do here, is get in a state where you're lowering those expectations. Say, okay, relationships come and go, and that's one fish, there's plenty of fish out there, and you move on. And so you have to lower your world's expectations and your life expectations, or people expectations there, and lower your own expectations. And I know this might be sounding like, a Zen mode advice of like just calmly lower all expectations, free yourself from all expectations. I'm not saying that, just don't do anything in your life and just live like floating in a ice mountain or something. What I'm saying is that all of these expectations you built up for yourself, and you living by other people's expectations, is putting you in a state of unhappiness. You just being there with all those expectations around you, floating around, is going to direct you where? Into a state of depression and sadness. And it's going to make it impossible for you to free yourself. So what you really want to do is you want to start expecting less from the world, from yourself, and just get in a state of presence where you're looking at the world around you and you're just enjoying the simple beauties in life, and you're happy that you're breathing, and you just get back into it. Because with depression, you always look at the world around you, you look at that story, you look at all these other things, and you forget the reality that's right in front of you. You forget the fact that you are existing right now. You are living. And so by doing that, you will change your life completely. And so that's tip number 2. Changing and lowering your expectation with other people, with the world, and with life in general, so that you can breathe for a minute. All right, third one is a quick tip, and that is do a simple, meaningful project. Don't try to change the world or save your marriage after 30 years of divorce and 30 years of depression. No, that's not going to work, right? Try to do a simple thing. I really recommend, you see me out here in nature, I really recommend for you to do something simple like gardening. Gardening has been proven to be very therapeutic for a lot of people, for most people, right? And by you doing it, it's very hard for you to fail, right? You expect to plant the seed, water it, sunlight, even if it dies, you get more seeds and you let it grow. And what happens is that as you see it grow, you actually feel like you're doing something in your life, right? So I really recommend you doing a simple, meaningful project, something where it's really hard to fail, or just a project where failure is impossible. Even if that plant dies, you don't care, in a sense. Don't kill the plant, but do something like that where you can feel like you are in control of your life. Because what happens in depression, that sadness, that original normal response that we have towards life, right? The sadness gets so severe and keeps growing, right? The snowball, to the point where we feel like we can't do anything in life. We feel like we have no power. We feel like a victim. We feel like, all power is outside of us. And that's when we get into this recipe of unhappiness. And once we do simple things, and we notice those simple things, that when we're making a difference in other people's lives or in the world around us, right, for its betterment, that's when we get more happier. And what we want to do is slowly reverse the snowball. Instead of a dark snowball with mucky, yucky water that we're, circling around in, we want to make it full of white snow that refreshes us, that makes us happy. So we have those happy thoughts, we do those happy, meaningful tasks, and we train ourselves to believe that we can make a difference. And that was my story too. I used to be depressed, but slowly and surely, as I did these techniques and tips that I'm teaching you, I freed myself from that case. I still get sad, right? Sadness is completely normal, so that I can grow once again. But that depressed state where I completely give up hope, right? Lose all interest in eating, sleeping, and all of those things, that's gone for me. And suicidal thoughts, all of those are gone for me. So I hope that this encourages you to do the same too.
Whee!
This one is a super important tip, and that is your diet, your food. What you are consuming is either empowering you for happiness or chaining you down and making you stuck in your sadness and your depression for the rest of your life. So you really want to take huge consideration about what you're putting inside your body and, what supplements you are eating. I have a few recommendations for you, and take them as the Quran, right? Take them as scripture if you want, right? Because I want you, what I'm saying here is you have to change your diet if you want to change your mood indirectly. If you're just going to chill and try to do positive, happy thoughts and Teletubbies all day, it's not going to work. I'm sorry. You have to change your diet if you want to get the freedom you desire. Number 1 is stay away from processed sugary foods. Oily foods, processed sugars, right? Things that have high fructose corn syrup are foods that will chain you down. They'll affect your blood sugar, they'll affect your thinking, they'll affect your emotions, everything. So stay away from them. And, replace them with, you still need sugar in your body, eat fruits. Eat raw, natural, yummy sugar. And the more you do this, the more you'll sense the freedom. One interesting thing that happens in depression is that you eat bad, right? Then you get bad thoughts, then you start believing bad things about yourself and about the world and how you're hopeless, right? And then you start binge eating. Some people start binge eating, and getting all the sugary McDonald's and Chick-fil-A and Slurpees and this and soda and chips and all of those things, and then it increases their problem. So they get in a cycle, and sometimes this continues on for years. And then people, when they go to a counselor or a therapist or a friend or something, they want to free their problem in like 5 minutes and then drink their Slurpee again or something. That's not going to work. You have to shift all these different elements of your diet if you want to make a long-term and permanent change. So that's one thing. Another tip that I have for you in terms of diet is stay away from dairy. Mostly I found that dairy products, I'm not sure about meat yet, but dairy specifically, I've noticed maybe it's the hormones or something else, that also sort of lines you up or predisposes you for those thoughts. Last tip in terms of foods, now that I told you right, eat less unhealthy, especially processed sugars, high fructose, corn syrup things, and any oily foods, right? All of those junk foods, let it go, let it go, let it go, right? And I told you healthy foods. I told you about, try to stay away from dairy. Last one is super important, and I actually brought it out for you. Ta-da! Buy today, and you'll get a special discount. No, I'm just kidding. This is fish oil. And turns out our bodies, all of us, even those who have genetically different foods that we could like, some people in different tribes, they genetically are more healthier with other foods. Some are more healthier with other foods. But universally, all of us are super attuned to, and our body is sort of designed for fish oil. And researchers are looking into how many different benefits you can get, not only for depression, and not only, even if you don't suffer from depression, you need to get fish oil and have this in your kitchen, because this helps with clear thoughts, this helps with anxiety, this helps with, weight balance, this helps with so many different things. And the one brand I specifically have is called Carlson fish oil. And you can get the fish capsules, right? Fish oil capsules, right? The reason I don't like those personally is because, number one, they're made of beef gelatin, and number two, they taste very fishy, if you know what I mean, right? Fish oil, you expect it to smell like fish. This one, actually, what they did is it's orange flavor, and I'll probably maybe put a link in the video, right? It's orange flavor, and surprisingly, it doesn't taste like fish oil, or it doesn't have that, yucky aftertaste that some fish oils may have. So I highly recommend it, and just doing this, drinking 2 grams to 6 grams, right? Or taking the pills of 2 grams to 6 grams, or even more. Our bodies are pre-programmed for it, and even if you overdose it, right, take 20 grams, even up to 20 grams, research has proven that, it won't hurt your health. So fish oil, we're designed for it. It has a lot of omega-3s, DHA, EPA, and all these other awesome things that this video will not explore. So just trust me on this one, right? So fish oil is super important. So that's all you have. That's my few tips that I have for food. And just doing that, you'll notice results instantaneously. Change your diet, and within 48 hours, I guarantee, maybe you'll feel low in the beginning when you're changing your diet, right? First 2-3 days. But after that, watch your energy, watch your mood, watch your thoughts, and how they redirect. So that's it for this tip. All right. This tip is super important because a lot of depression has to do with relationships. Sometimes relationships fail. Sometimes, things don't work out. Sometimes, something bad happens in a relationship or something that we don't expect. And then a lot of people get depressed, and a majority of people get depressed that way. Mentoring is super important. If you find a younger one, right? A younger child or someone who you can mentor, even someone who doesn't have expertise and is looking for an expertise that you have. Doing a mentoring project, even for free, right? Don't charge or something else like that. Just doing that in a simple, effective manner will help you, once again, believe that you can make a difference. And then when people thank you and say, wow, you made such a difference in my life, right? When you get that comment, you'll be like, especially if you're depressed, you'll be like, whoa, I didn't expect that. And even if you coach someone for years and years, and then they gave you that one comment, it'll be worth all the mentoring and coaching and advising that you did, because you feel better about yourself and you help them reach a higher level too. So I highly recommend that you mentor or you advise or you empower someone else in your life. If all else fails, just watch this video 1,000,000 times and I guarantee you'll have a better mood. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.